Hello. Welcome to Elite Sports Talk. I'm Chaz.
I'm Charlie.
We cover everything in sports, whether it's scores, stats, trade, free agency, or anything that's a hot topic. Today is Friday, June 16th, 2023. By the time this airs, it'll probably be Saturday, June 17th. So, I just want to start off by saying go Phillies, 11 of 13. We beat the A's tonight. We're on a roll. Two of the last three games, every single starter has had a hit. And also, I want to say we scored 30 runs in 3 games, which is absolutely insane. Taiwan Walker is giving up 0 earned runs, and then 1 earned run. He's looking pretty good. The only thing that's sketchy right now is Aaron Nola, because he seems like this pitch clock is really affecting him. But anyway, let's get into the show. We got a lot to cover. We have to cover the final game for the Stanley Cup, the final game for the NBA Finals, and then we have some facts. We have more likelys. We actually have a new segment called Today in Sports History. That's Charlie's. All right, where do you want to start?
So I guess we'll start with NBA Finals.
Okay.
Denver Nuggets closed out the series in 5 games. Wasn't a pretty game. It was
Not by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, neither team hit 100 points.
I want to say the Nuggets led in every major statistical category. They had the highest leader in points, the highest leader in rebounds, the highest leader in assists, the highest leader in blocks in the game. And it was a sloppy game. I mean, the Nuggets shot 56% from the free throw line. That's 1 of 2 from the free throw line. And then the Denver Nuggets shot 17% from deep, from 3. 56% from the free throw line, 17% from 3, and they still won. Because Miami only shot 25% from deep. But, yeah, go ahead. The final score was 94-89.
Yeah, 94-89. Like we said, it wasn't pretty. Jokic didn't get a triple-double. He actually had 28 points, 16 rebounds, and only 4 assists.
But he was 12 for 16, which is a very, very good field goal percentage. That's 75% from the floor. So
yeah, definitely. Other than that, for Denver,
Michael Porter finally came alive.
Finally, yes, he had a double-double. He himself even said in the post-game interview that he still felt like he didn't play a great game.
I mean, 1 for 6 from 3. So, but he contributed. That's all that mattered.
Exactly. Murray had 14, and he had 8 rebounds, 8 assists. So he didn't keep that stat going with the 10 or more assists per game. It ended with 4.
He's already got the record, though, so.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that matters, really. That and the win.
Yes.
Caldwell Pope had 11.
I mean, come on. Do you think he wants 10 assists, or do you think he wants the rank?
God,
come on.
no, yeah. On the other end, we got Butler. Butler had 21 points. He was 5 of 18.
Yeah.
5 of 18.
His shooting efficiency has been terrible this series. I think, again, like I said before, I think when they were up 3-0 against Boston, they should have put their foot on their neck and never took their foot off the gas, because playing that extra 3-4 more games rather than just putting them away, it looked like Jimmy Butler was exhausted by the time he got to the finals. He just was not the same player in the Eastern Conference Finals that he was in the NBA Finals. So
I mean, it's like a lot of analysts have been saying right now, if you've been tuning into any sports talk shows, I mean, it didn't even look like Butler was the second best player in the finals. Maybe not even the third. I mean,
no, I think Bam.
Consistent.
Yep. I think Bam had a better finals than Jimmy Butler. If I had to rank them, I would go Jokic 1, Jamal Murray 2, Bam Adebayo 3, and then maybe Butler, but maybe Aaron Gordon. I don't know. So Bam Adebayo had a double-double, 10 points, 12 assists. We had Kyle Lowry, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. But
Him
but my
and Jokic were getting like into a wrestling match for a little while.
Miami didn't shoot very good in this game. Denver out rebounded the Miami by 57-44, which is plus 13. They had 3 more assists. They had 6 more. They caused 6 more turnovers. It was just a bad game. I mean, Miami was in it because of how bad Denver was playing, and they were actually up majority of the game, but they just couldn't get it done. They ran out of gas at the end.
That's the scary thing about the Nuggets. The entire series, they were not playing like themselves. Offensively, I mean, defensively, they started to improve. But as we spoke about that before, their defense really started stepping up at the very end of regular season, more so in the playoffs. But their offense was not the same, so they got away with that one, man.
I mean, so I will say that I can't say that Denver didn't play nobody. I mean, they played the Lakers. They played Phoenix. So they did play, but I think this NBA Finals was a weaker NBA Finals compared to recent years. I think it was pretty, unless Jimmy Butler played the same way he did in the Eastern Conference Finals, everybody knew Denver was going to take it. The pieces don't match up. I mean, Denver's way deeper. And lastly, I think that Denver just they didn't play that great, but they're playing against a team that lost their first play-in game and almost got eliminated. They almost didn't even make the playoffs at all. But it's a good thing for the NBA that the Heat did make the finals because of the fact that it shows that the play-in is for a reason. Because if you have your play-in teams make a play-in and then just get eliminated right away, people are like, what's the point of the play-in? So at least the NBA can say, all right, look, a play-in team made it this far, so it was actually a good idea.
And not only that, but the fact that now in 5 years there's been 5 different teams that have won the finals. So it's not like it's the same team, the same 2 teams every single season. So that's also a good thing for the NBA.
Yeah. I want to say this season was actually much more wide open than any other season in recent memory, and I believe that next year is pretty wide open too. I think Denver by far should be the favorites, and they will be the favorites, and they are the favorites. But it's I'm interested in seeing this NBA draft and this free agency. By the way, we will have an NBA mock draft coming out soon. Yeah, that's it for.
I got a couple things I just wanted to say.
Go ahead.
So they have been a franchise, the Denver Nuggets, for 56 years. This was the first time since they've been in the NBA in 47 years that they won. It's also the first time not only winning, that obviously they were in a championship, it's the first time they ever swept a team in the playoffs, and it's the first time they ever finished first place in the Western Conference.
Yeah, so since the ABA merger, 50% of the teams in the merger have won now a title, that being Denver and being San Antonio. The only other 2 teams that have not won a championship yet is the then New Jersey Nets, now Brooklyn Nets, and the Indiana Pacers.
Yep. And also, Jokic became the only NBA player to lead all players in points, rebounds, and assists in a single postseason. The Nuggets tied the 06-07 San Antonio Spurs for second all-time winning percentage by a team in a single playoff run in the last 20 years. Number 1 in that category was the 16-17 Golden State Warriors, who had a .941 playoff winning percentage.
Yes. So, Stanley Cup Finals. Like I said about Miami, not taking your foot off the gas. Vegas made the mistake one time this series because they should have swept Florida. Again, it would have been 4-0, but they were up, I think it was game 3, I believe. They were up in the third period, and they took their foot off the gas. Florida tied it up at the very end of the game, went to overtime, and won it. But they learned from their mistake. This closeout game, Vegas did not play around. At the end of the first intermission, it was 2-0. At the end of the second intermission, it was 6-1. So before the third period even started, Florida knew they were done. Final score 9-3, and
The most notable thing would be the right winger Stone for the Golden
yeah,
Knights.
3 goals.
3 goals.
3 goals. I mean, it was a whole team effort. They had Smith with a goal, Roy with a goal, Martinez with a goal, Haig with a goal, Barbashev with a goal, Amadio with a goal, and I knew Florida was going to lose this game because their main player didn't play in this game. I'm sorry if I pronounce his name wrong, but Tkachev or I forget. I can't pronounce his name, but he's their best player, and he was hurt this game. So yeah, They didn't really have a chance. I mean, Vegas is a lot deeper team than they are. So congratulations to Vegas, expansion team getting these rings right off the rip when you have other teams that've been in the NHL for a long time and still haven't won chips.
Yeah, only 6 years in.
Oh, and congratulations to Adin Hill for putting on a good performance in between the pipes for his first playoff run. So let's get to our topics. Speaking of hockey, we'll go to basketball. So CP3 said he absolutely wants to remain a Sun, but if you're CP3, do you agree with that opinion? And if you're the Suns, do you want to keep CP3?
I agree with CP3. I think that he should want to stay there. I don't know how that's going to change things, though, with them getting a new head coach and everything. So I can't say for certain that Phoenix is going to want to keep him. If they do, I think it's going to be for a veteran minimum contract. I think that they're going to wipe away, what was it, $10 million they owe him?
I'm not sure. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But
to stay on the contract that he's on, if I'm upper office for the Suns, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to keep him for that money. But if they can somehow get him at a veteran minimum, I think that would be the best way to go for both parties.
So if I'm the Phoenix Suns, if I'm Chris Paul, I would want to move on. I absolutely think Chris Paul's best chance to win the championship and best move is to go to Los Angeles Lakers. And if I'm Phoenix, I would want to move on, and I would look at James Harden. I think James Harden plays very well with Kevin Durant, and also he led the league in assists. And with that roster, I think he can make DeAndre Ayton get easy buckets. He can give Durant the ball wherever he wants it on the court, and you still have Devin Booker who can, always get his points. But I think he would just make the game a lot easier for that whole roster. I know Chris Paul's, point god, but at this time, I think James Harden's just better for that team.
I agree with that.
So did you hear about Pat Beverly?
Yep. He came out and he said that he believes that Karl Anthony Towns is better than Nikola Jokic and Embiid.
What is he smoking?
Exactly. I mean, we seen firsthand the matchup in the first round with the Nuggets. Karl Anthony Towns, I don't know what he has to fix, but he's got to fix something because he looked a lot more dominant, I would say, 2-3 years ago. He didn't show me anything in the playoffs. I mean, I didn't really see him play against Embiid this year, but come on.
So I think Karl Anthony Towns, I think he's an underrated player. I do think he's, one of the best big men in the league, but he's definitely not the best big man in the league, not even by far. I understand Pat Beverly is a Timberwolf, so he's sticking up for his guy. But at the same time, let's be realist here. You know what I mean? Karl Anthony Towns struggled, I think, this postseason. His numbers weren't that great. His shooting percentage wasn't that great. And, I mean, Jokic and Embiid are just on another level. I mean,
They're monsters.
it's 1A and 1B, and then Carl Anthony Towns isn't even number 2. I think he's number 3.
Yeah.
So on that, yeah, I completely disagree with Pat Beverly. Straight up hot take, bro.
I think, like you said, he is underappreciated. But at the same time, you're putting up a guy who hasn't done anything yet against 3-time MVPs between Jokic and Embiid, and now a champion.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Pat.
So let's talk about Pat Beverly's ex teammates, Kawhi and PG-13. Do you think that they're gonna both stay together in the Clippers? And if you're the Clippers, would you keep them together or would you blow it up? Personally, I think that by this point, I mean, at this point, I'm blowing it up because they're both injury prone. They've been on the same team for like 3 years, but they haven't even played together for a full 82 games at all yet. You add all 3 seasons up, they haven't played 82 games together.
Yeah, I think it's like something like maybe 15 to 20 games a season.
It's not good. But when they're on the court together, the team is pretty decent. But they're never on the court together. So
for that reason, I agree with what you just said. But here's my thing: if you got to choose between one of them, who are you keeping? Me, in my opinion, I think Kawhi is definitely the better player.
Exactly, I think Kawhi's the better player, but Paul George is more dependable.
Exactly. So we agree on that.
Yes. Where do you think Golden State will finish next year in the West?
First, I want to see what happens with. There's talk right now about
Karl Anthony Towns.
Well, I didn't hear that, but what I did hear was Klay Thompson maybe leaving in a trade. You never know.
Yes, but there's also talk about trading Jonathan Kuminga, another big man, and like 2 firsts, and getting Karl Anthony Towns because they need to get bigger in the paint, and that would be a scary Warriors team.
And is Draymond staying or is he leaving?
Stay.
I think the only way he leaves is when he retires.
Yeah. Draymond's a Warrior for life.
So if they just keep who they have.
But think about that roster: Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns, Draymond Green. That's a good roster right there. Good starting 5. And I think that would be able to compete with Denver. That starting 5.
Oh yeah.
The problem with them this year in competing with Denver is they're way too small. The backcourt's not big enough to keep up with Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jokic. They're just too small.
Which is why I find that interesting. Like, I think Kuminga should have been getting more playing time than he was, but...
Yeah, but Kuminga also has been struggling as of late. He has a lot of potential, but Jordan Poole struggled this year too, actually, in the postseason.
A lot, yeah.
I mean,
but
you should have never punched him in the face.
Oh, my God. We're not trying to bring back old memories.
I am. Sorry.
But yeah, so if they keep their core group together... not getting any big people in free agency. I like them probably between 3 and 5 is where I would say they would end up next year. Just with everybody keeping pretty much everyone together, that core group.
See, that's a tough one because it depends. I think yeah, I like the 3-4 seed in the West because I don't think they could possibly be as bad as they were on the road again next season.
Oh my God, they had the same record as the Detroit Pistons.
So, do you believe that the Pelicans made a good pick when they picked Zion? Because Zion hasn't really played. When he does play, he averages 26 points a game. A walking 10-plus rebounds a game. But the problem with Zion is he's never healthy. You see him doing 360 windmill dunks in the layup lines, but he can't put the jersey on and lace up. So, what good is those showing off them hops and them bunnies in the layup line if you're not playing for your actual team?
Exactly. Like you said, we've seen him in small sample sizes. He can be great. Can he stay healthy? What do you do though? I mean, if you're New
And
Orleans,
again, this comes back to the Pelicans. Their medical team, because they clearly didn't do their due diligence on Zion, because they gave the thumbs up to draft him, and it seems like there's a lot of physical problems with his body right now that just keeps him from getting on the court. I mean, for a guy that's that big and stocky to be able to bounce like that, that's a lot of pressure on those knees. So
I mean, but you do kind of have to feel bad when you look at that organization because they had Anthony Davis, and I mean, again, we're talking about an injury-prone guy, but he's even more reliable. He's healthier more often than you see with Zion.
so far, but also they wanted to get younger, so I also do understand that. Um, and if you kept Anthony Davis, they wouldn't have Brandon Ingram, and Brandon Ingram has been playing outstanding basketball over there in New Orleans.
That's also true.
All right, so John Morant got 25 games. Too light, too heavy? What do you think?
Man, it's tough. He's so young though. I think that to send him the message and really make it, stick, maybe he should have got a whole season,
I mean,
at least a half a season.
see,
right?
here's the thing. If you give him a whole season, he didn't technically break a law. He didn't break any laws. But on the other hand, you literally just had this exact conversation with the commissioner, and then did the same thing 2 weeks later. But I think 25 games is a little light. I think, but 25 games it's fine with me. I really think it should have been 40 games about, but he already got hit where it hurts the most. He lost out 40 or 50 million dollars for not making all NBA team. And then also missing this 25 games, he's going to miss out on like another 40 million. That's like $100 million that he's going to miss out on. So if anything, he's not. I don't think he's going to learn from missing basketball games. He's going to learn more so by missing that money. Yeah. You want to hit somebody where it hurts, hit them in the pockets. And the NBA didn't even necessarily hit him in the pockets. He hit himself in the pockets. It's like he dropped his wallet and just forgot to go pick it back up. So let's move on to the NFL, all right?
Okay.
Who were your early division winners in the NFL this season?
Okay, so I'm not gonna go record. I'm just gonna.
No records. No records. We'll go one by one. NFC East.
Dallas.
I'm gonna go. I know the history of the NFC East, but I'm a Dallas fan, but I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go Philly just because of the fact that I just think that roster's incredible, and their draft was very good. Okay.
What do you think for the NFC West?
NFC West, go to the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm going to say the 49ers too.
The only question with the 49ers is a big question is the quarterback.
Exactly.
But that roster's pretty good, and I think Debo's going to have a really good season.
And Kittle.
Yeah. How about NFC South? That's a tough one. I think I know where you're going to go.
I think the only one that you can really sit here and say
You're going to say New Orleans.
solely because of the quarterback and the running back.
You're going to say New Orleans.
Michael Thomas.
Yep. No, I'm
gotta go with the Saints.
I'm going Carolina. I think they're going to shock teams this year. They have talent. They had a good free agency. They just drafted Bryce Young. I know he's a rookie quarterback, but if there's anybody who's ready to play in the NFL right now, he's the most polished quarterback coming out of the draft this season. And they got Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen. I think that roster is pretty good, and the division's not that bad. But I think all the there's no standout team in that division, but there's no horrible teams in that division either, because even Atlanta has pieces. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Carolina Panthers. How about the NFC North?
I'm kind of torn a little bit. I know a lot of people are going to have the Vikings there. I'm saying Detroit, man.
So am I.
Detroit is for real.
I know Justin Jefferson, and we had, on our last show, we talked about those numbers with Kirk Cousins. But I'm interested to see how the loss of Dalvin Cook, hurts the Vikings. I want to see Alexander Madison in the everyday starting running back role. And they lost Adam Thielen. I know they have, C.J. Ham and whatnot, but I think I like Jared Goff, bro. I'm a believer in Jared Goff. I'm a believer in Campbell, the coach, and I think that the Lions team is just pretty stacked all over the board on every position. I think that there's not too many holes on that Lions team.
And you got to remember now, last year they had Jamal Williams.
And Amon St. Brown is another season into the NFL, and I think he's really going to take off this year.
Definitely. I believe that too. I mean, he showed last year and his rookie year. But also, with that being said, we are both picking Detroit. Last year, they were really good running the ball, even though they had injury problems with Swift. Swift's not there no more.
They lost a lot of one-score games, which I think they can turn that around because you could end up on the wrong side of those one-score games in one season, and then next year it just clicks, and you're the one coming out on the right side of those one-score games. I think Detroit is a force to be reckoned with, and I think they make the playoffs, and I think that they're a tough out for anybody in the playoffs.
But I just wanted to make people understand that. They don't have Swift anymore. He's an Eagle now, guys. And they don't have Jamal Williams, who led the entire NFL in rushing touchdowns last year.
No, I know.
So, I mean, we're both picking them.
Are you contradicting what you're...
No.
Okay.
I'm just letting people know how confident we must be in them.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the AFC. AFC East. Ooh, look at that one.
Buffalo.
AFC East.
Buffalo,
yep. I think that speaks for itself. AFC West.
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
It's still got to be the Chiefs.
I think that speaks for itself too. I mean, you have to take the reigning Super Bowl champions. AFC North.
I want to hear who you're picking for the North first.
AFC North. I am gonna go. I'm gonna have to go with the Bengals.
Ooh.
I have to go with the Bengals. I like Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, but till I see him with his new weapons and how that works out, I can't go with them. And we already know what Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase are. So, he's got that it factor. He's a winner. So.
That's interesting because in our last episode, it sounded more like you were saying that Baltimore would win that division. And I want to say Baltimore, man. I love Lamar. I like Odell a lot. I've seen them play twice in person now. I know how great Lamar is and that whole team, even defensively. But the Bengals are for real, man. I like the Bengals winning that division.
I mean, they're only 2 years removed from a Super Bowl, so.
Exactly.
And it was a one-score game last year against the Chiefs. The ball bounces a different way a couple times, man. They could have been the Super Bowl champions last year.
Yeah. Even though Baltimore did almost beat Cincinnati in the playoffs without Lamar.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
hey, man, any given Sunday.
Hey, Huntley played pretty good. But that was a very, very good game. Baltimore almost won that game. They were on the goal line, popped the ball out, and I think Sam Hubbard, I believe, ran the ball 99 yards the other direction for a Bengals touchdown in the fourth quarter and sealed that game. If Travis or if Huntley wouldn't have extended the ball and get it popped out, they tell you do not extend the ball when you're trying to reach for the goal line unless you're sure you're going to break the goal line because of that exact reason. Somebody gets a hand on it, ball pops out, and now it's a free ball, and that's a huge swing. Dude, that's a 14-point swing when you think about it. 7 away from you and 7 for them all in one play when you were on their 1 yard line because they were about to go up 2 scores.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a huge thing. All right, last one. AFC South. I think this division's probably, personal opinion, I think it's probably the weakest division in football right now.
It is.
But I have to go Jaguars. There's no way I can't go Jaguars.
I mean, I want to say Tennessee, but I don't think it's going to happen. I got to go with Jacksonville, too. I mean, they only got better in the offseason.
Even though he was super hyped coming out, and I think that is why people are so low on him, because he was supposed to be a generational talent. Trevor Lawrence is massively underrated. His stats are pretty decent, and his winning percentage is not that bad at all. I think the problem is that people are supposed to think Trevor Lawrence was supposed to come into the league and take it by storm, and that's just not how it happens. This is the NFL. It's the best of the best. I don't care how good you are, how talented you are, and NFL football is the sport that you need the most cohesiveness and teamwork, camaraderie. You can't just win an NFL game by yourself.
And this is, I believe, the third head coach now that he's had already in his fourth year.
Yeah.
And Doug Peterson, I mean, hey, we've seen what he did with Philly.
Dougie
so
P.
You can't count them out, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Which rookie quarterback will have the best season? C.J. Stroud is a Texan. Will Levis is a Titan. Richardson is
Colt.
a Colt. Can't even read my own handwriting.
So on
Bryce Young is a Panther. Which rookie quarterback will have the best season, and which rookie quarterback's team will have the best record?
We definitely differ on this to an extent. I believe the best season, I think, is going to come out of C.J. Stroud. Record-wise, though, I'm going to say the Panthers and Bryce Young.
I got to go Bryce Young for both. I think the Panthers make the playoffs. I think they win their division, and I think he wins Rookie of the Year.
Ooh, okay.
But again, I'm a little biased. Roll Tide, baby. All right.
What do you think about what's going on right now with the Giants and Saquon Barkley saying that he may sit out the whole year?
From which point of view do you want me to give you? Do you want me to give you Barkley's point of view, or do you want me to give you the Giants' point of view?
The Giants.
The Giants' point of view? If I'm the Giants, I feel like it's a little selfish. The team comes first. But again, I've said this before on the show. I think the NFL, the way they look at running backs is a little disrespectful. For example, when Philly traded for the guy from the Bears, what was his name?
Howard.
Yes, Jordan Howard. He was on the final year of his rookie contract, and they were like, "Well, we're not going to re-sign him, so let's just run him into the ground," and they just ran the ball. So, if I'm Saquon Barkley and he's already had one major injury in his career, he came back, bounced back wonderfully, had a great one of his best seasons so far. So if I'm Barkley, I want to secure that bag before it's too late. So I understand the team comes first, but on the other hand, I mean, you have to look out for you and your family. That's the whole purpose of playing football. I know that you love it and you want to take care of your team, but you need to take care of your family.
When it came down to the money and it came down to they needed to pay either their quarterback or their running back, I get why they paid Daniel Jones. I just don't believe that the team can be better without Barkley with Daniel Jones. So, with that being said, I wish that they would have got something done with Barkley. I ultimately believe that this is going to cost him, and I don't think that he's going to be wearing a Giants uniform again.
All right. And lastly, what do you think King Henry's rushing yards will look like this season?
So after he came back from that injury for whatever in his foot, but I didn't think he was going to be able to come back that same way.
Hey,
When you get older,
dude, he was playing with a broken foot, which is insane.
God, man.
Playing running back with a broken foot is almost as crazy as Ronnie Loft going to the sideline, and they were getting his pinky cut off because he wants to get back in the game.
But I think he's still going to be in the top 10 in rushing yards. I could still see him going for
top 10. I think he's still. I think even with Tennessee doesn't really have many weapons, so I think King Henry will be top 4 and probably top 3. I mean, if you're doing your fantasy draft, I think he's still one of the best options overall to take in fantasy. I mean, there's only a handful of people I might take before him, which would be like Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, maybe Justin Jefferson. And then King Henry right after that, probably. So, because he gets the volume, that's the key concern. But he will always get the touches.
And his average yards per carry did go down slightly. That's going to take a dip as you get older. But I still like him to go for about 1250.
He tends to start off slow, but once the winter comes and it gets cold and it hurts to make them tackles. People don't want that contact no more with King Henry. That's why he tends to do so much better towards later in the season.
And
also
gave a little bit of insight of why he's probably staying in Tennessee.
Also,
going up north.
Also, bodies tend to get beat up at later in the season, so that kind of helps him out. All right. Before we do the more likelies, I'm gonna let you do your new segment.
Okay. So, today in sports history, there's 3 astounding facts. The first one, 1993, Ken Griffey Jr. hits his 100th career home run in Seattle.
Nice.
Number 2, in 1994, Canadian goaltender by the name of Martin Brodeur becomes first New Jersey Devil to win Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year.
One of the best goalies of all time.
And the most impressive is the 1975 NBA Milwaukee Bucks traded Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Walt Wesley to the LA Lakers for 4 players. Boy, did they get a bargain there.
Hey, I would have never traded Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but that was a straight steal for the Lakers. Also, I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on that team with the Bucks was that was what Oscar Robertson was tremendous. But I got a couple of things I want to say. Time for my segment with the facts. All right. Here we go. Where else are you gonna hear this but Elite Sports Talk? Should I do? We'll start with sports facts. In the 1990s, Jordan had his jersey stolen. Did you know that?
Who would do such a thing?
Hey, it's that bread, bro. Number 2. In 1943, during World War II, the Steelers and the Eagles lost players to the draft. So their players had to go fight in the war. So to be able to field a team, they combined their efforts and combined their team names, and they played together, and they were known as the Steagles that year. Next, Jesse Owens in 1935 broke 4 world records within 45 minutes. He broke the 100-yard dash record, the long jump record, 220-yard dash, and the 220 low hurdles. And then lastly, this is super interesting, I believe. I never knew this. Most NASCAR teams use nitrogen in their tires rather than air, which is super astounding. Flamingos, their head must be upside down when they eat. Cockroaches' brains are in their body. Meanwhile, a shrimp's heart is in its head. And frogs have a 360 visual range. And lastly, this one's going to mess you guys up, yo. So when next time you watch Finding Nemo, I'm sorry that I have to ruin the movie for you, but clownfish are born gender neutral. So the sex assigned to the fish when they're born is determined by what the pack needs. So if there's a female in the pack, then when the fish are born, it will become a male. But when the female of the pack passes away or dies or whatever, the alpha male of the pack turns into a female because its body stops producing the chemicals that make it male. And then a new fish will become the alpha male of the pack. So that's why when you think of Finding Nemo, it's pretty messed up, honestly, for a kids for movie. I mean, there was no female, so technically Nemo's father would become the female, and I'll let you guys, think about the rest from there.
Oh man.
Oh dear. All right, let's go. More likelies.
Yeah, now we're gonna get into the more likely.
My favorite part of the show. More likelies.
So, which do you believe is more likely for this season? For Joe Burrow or Mahomes to lead the league in passing yards? I'm going to tell you first what I think. I think it's actually going to be Burrow this year.
So do I.
Okay. Second, which is more likely to happen this year, Lamar...
Whoa. Hold on. I want to touch this topic.
Ooh, okay.
The reason I think it's Burrow is because, again, he has two number ones. He has Higgins and Jamar Chase. And I think Mahomes' offense, or especially with Andy Reid, he doesn't have Tyreek Hill no more. Kelsey's another year older. And I think that their offense is more... I think they're going to have a little more screen and draw game predicated into their offense this year. Randy Reid always uses a lot of motion. I don't think they're going to push the ball down the field like the Bengals do. I think that they are going to be more of a mid-range attack with draw plays and slashing down the field. Short little chunks, pick up first downs, move the chains, versus the Bengals, who I think can quick strike at any given time. So I do believe I think Burrow will get more pass attempts too. So I think Burrow definitely will lead the league in passing yards. But all right, number 2, do you think Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts will have more rushing yards?
Well, I was just gonna, since you did your description of why, I think that you got two number one receivers that could both go for between 12 to 1,500 yards individually. Whereas,
I don't know about that. I don't think T. Higgins is a 1, but 1,500 yards is super steep.
It is, but
I think they're both 1,000-yard receivers. But 1,500 yards?
Well, I said 12 to 15. If you look at last year, they both had roughly 1,200 yards.
1,500 yards is a lot.
And Burrow's only getting better. But when you look at the Chiefs, they have a great tight end with a lot of good receivers sprinkled in. So what you said, I agree with that. Also, they're going to have more pass attempts in Cincinnati. The way they run their offense is a little different. Back to number 2, Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts, who will have more rushing yards this season? And I'm going to go ahead and say I think it's actually going to be Jalen Hurts. I think with the addition of Odell Beckham, and there was one or two other pieces that they got, Lamar wants to sit back more, and I think he's going to throw for more this year than he's ever thrown for in his career.
So I think that I actually think both of their rushing yards are going to drop off this year. Both of them. I think both of those quarterbacks, they want to pass the ball more and they want to protect their quarterbacks. But again, I do agree Jalen Hurts will have more because the RPO game is a huge part of Philly's offense. So as long as the defensive ends crash in onto the running back, he's gonna keep it if that's what the RPO calls for. So, but I believe he's gonna get down, not take those hits, and slide. So I don't think they're gonna call him as often if they don't have to. So I think Jalen Hurts will definitely have more than Lamar because I think Lamar wants to be a pocket passer, especially because everybody tries to say he's only a one-trick pony. but I think he can throw the ball. I think he's massively underrated at throwing the ball, but Jalen Hurts will lead that category.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
which new quarterback on their new team will have more wins? Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets, or Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints?
Now, like I said,
I think this one's a rather easy answer.
well, like I said before, everything looks great on paper with A-Rod and the Jets, but remember, guys, that's not an easy division to be in.
This is true.
All
This
four
is true.
teams, which is why I'm saying Derek Carr and the Saints will have more wins. They're going to win their division, and they're going to go to the playoffs. They're going to have 10 or 11 wins.
I'm going to have to go Aaron Rodgers because, again, he's one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen in history, regardless of ring situation. And, yes, that division is way harder than the NFC South. But my rebuttal is Aaron Rodgers has been in minicamp more this year than he's been in the last 5 years combined in Green Bay. I think he's taking this year very seriously, and I think he found he's reinvigorated, and he wants to win. So I believe that with all that talent he has in the Jets roster, I don't think they win the division, but I do think he ends up with double-digit wins, and I think that that he has more wins than Derek Carr. I also think that their team is a little deeper, so if there's injuries, I think that they can sustain. But if the New Orleans Saints have a couple injuries, they're not as deep as a roster. If Kamara gets hurt or Michael Thomas gets hurt, that's really going to derail Derek Carr's team.
I don't 100% agree with that because they showed they had a really good rookie receiver last year. I'm blanking on his name, but they also have other pieces.
No, I like the rookie receiver, yeah. But
and they have Jamal Williams. God forbid something does happen to Kamara.
But I'm just saying I don't think their team is as nice. We don't have this as a topic, but I wanted to bring this up real quick. If seeing how I'm a Cowboys fan, right? Which way would you go? Because there's a new free agent out there. Would you go Dalvin Cook, which is all the reports, or would you go James Robinson? Because I would love James Robinson in Dallas, and that would not cost you that much money, and that would take a huge load off of Tony Pollard. And James Robinson produces. I don't understand why he keeps getting cut by all these teams. James Robinson is a very good running back.
Well, one thing that they didn't discuss when Jacksonville ended up either cutting him or trading him to New York last year, he did have a lingering injury. I like him too. I think he's a beast. But if we're throwing money out the window, we're just talking about which running.
No, money is a part of this.
Key?
Yes.
Well, then it's James
not
Robinson.
not key, but money is always a part of it. Yeah, obviously, if there was no money involved, I would go Dalvin Cook because he's the better player. Exactly. But you have to factor in money, and I would take James Robinson on a little more than a vet minimum than giving Dalvin Cook a huge contract and then not being able to fill other holes.
And also looking at the style of offense, I mean, James Robinson, yeah, he can catch passes every now and then out of the backfield, but more of a dual threat guy is definitely going to be Dalvin Cook.
So I like James Robinson for the right price. Let's get back to it. More likely, Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year, or C.J. Stroud wins Rookie of the Year offensively.
I mean, the more likely thing is going to be Parsons to win the Defensive Player of the Year.
And my reason for that is because I think Parsons. First off, I think Parsons got robbed. I think they didn't want to give him 2 awards at the same season. So I think Micah Parsons should have won Defensive Player of the Year his rookie season, but they didn't want to give him Defensive Player of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year. They didn't want to give him both. So I think that there's that, and then I also think that. I think that C.J. Stroud is not even. I don't think he's the favorite to win offensive Rookie of the Year. I think Bryce Young is the favorite.
And also another thing that we didn't mention is you also got to look at the rest of the team. The way that the defense is built right now on the Cowboys, yes, Parsons could definitely win Defensive Player of the Year. When you look at C.J. Stroud and possibly winning the Rookie of the Year, you got to look at the rest of the team, the people around him. It's not just going to be him. Yes, they have a great running back now in Dameon Pierce. It's only been one season, but he showed that he can be great. They have a couple of guys, young guys at receiver and tight end. But again, when you
They
look
lost
at the
Brandon
whole
Cooks
picture,
too, though.
Yeah, they lost Brandon Cooks, which is going to be huge for the rest of the
Brandon Cooks
receiver room.
always produced for the Texans team.
Yeah.
No matter who the quarterback was. Even with Davis Mills, he produced. But also, C.J. Stroud's not even locked in as the starting quarterback over there.
Exactly. That's
I mean,
another thing, too.
they're saying it's an open competition between him and Davis Mills.
Yeah. So when you factor all that in, it's definitely going to be Micah Parsons if one of those do happen. What about number 5? Does Tua stay healthy and take Miami to a second consecutive playoff appearance, or Trevor Lawrence takes the Jags to a second consecutive playoff appearance?
So I'm gonna have to go with Trevor Lawrence takes the Jags to the second playoff appearance due to the fact that what we said earlier, the AFC South is such a hard division. I mean, the AFC East is such a hard division, and the AFC South is such an easy division. I think the Jags will walk away with that division, hands down. So I think the Jags will obviously make the playoffs because they're going to win their division. And Tua, first off, Tua doesn't have a good track record with staying healthy. And second, Miami, I don't see them winning their division. Their team is, I think if I had to pick, I think Miami's roster is better than Jacksonville. If Miami was in the AFC South, I would take Miami in this aspect. But they're not in the same division. And due to their divisions, I'm going to have to take Jaguars.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm saying it. We really don't know the uncertainty of the Jets and how things are going to pan out with Rodgers there. We know Buffalo is more than likely going to be the number 1 there. You still can't count New England out. They made it in last year, barely, but got in. So, yeah.
Bill Belichick doesn't make the playoffs again and retires, or Josh McDaniels gets fired at the end of the season. I think this is rather easy. I think Josh McDaniels will get fired at the end of the season. Is more likely because even if Bill Belichick doesn't make the playoffs again, I don't think he necessarily has to retire unless it goes terribly. And Josh McDaniels. He's as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator, he has a very good track record. As a head coach, not so much. So I think this is probably his last shot in that role. So I don't know if another team gives him that shot again. So
I think the same thing. McDaniels gets fired. Bill Belichick has a lot more room on his leash. I mean, if he doesn't make the playoffs this upcoming year, what is that, like 7 out of 26 years or something like that?
Yeah.
So Kraft isn't going to let him go anywhere. McDaniels, on the other hand, yes, he tore apart my Denver Broncos for 1 year. Then he promised.
He stripped a couple teams.
Well, yeah, the Rams head coach, he agreed to a big deal and never flew out to St. Louis before they went back to L.A. I mean, as an
he's a secret agent for the Patriots.
I mean, hey, we had that whole Spygate thing when he was our head coach. That's the only time Denver was ever caught cheating. But with McDaniels,
key word there, caught.
Yeah, right. With McDaniels, it's just crazy because he made his bread and butter from having really good tight ends. The first thing he does in the offseason is get rid of Darren Waller. I mean, he's had a history now in the past couple of years of being hurt a lot, but when he's out there, man, he's
a difference maker.
Yes,
he's easily number 4, number 5 best tight end in the league. I would put Travis Kelce 1. George Kittle 2. I would put Dallas Goedert 3. I would put Hawkinson 4. But if you say Ertz,
did you say Ertz yet?
No, Zach Ertz is old now. He may
be old, but he was still in top 6 in tight ends last year.
He's not.
I almost won 3 fantasy leagues.
He's not a top 5 tight end. You're absolutely out of your mind. Zach Ertz definitely was but not anymore.
But the point being, we don't really see the path that McDaniels is trying to take with that offense. He went out and got Jimmy Garoppolo. He got rid of his tight end. Right.
And that just pissed Devontae Adams off so much.
Exactly, and when you got to make sure
he wanted
to make Devontae
dude,
happy.
Fresno State boys, man. He came there to play with his college quarterback, and he didn't even get to play with him really. And he played what, one season?
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't have went there long term if that was the case, if he knew that was going to happen.
But also when you go out and get somebody like a Jimmy Garoppolo, what are you telling your team? You're telling your team, guys, listen, we're going to rely on the defense. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to the Raiders, but they don't have a defense.
I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's some guys just win games. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, like, is such a weird quarterback. Like, he's not that great of a quarterback. I mean, if you look at the Green Bay game, he almost threw like 3 different pick sixes in that playoff game. They dropped them all. But, dude, 3 house calls that were just walk-ins that Green Bay dropped. But at the same time, he wins games. I mean, like, he just to get out of sacks, he was just throwing the ball late into the flat. And then corners jumping the route, dropping the ball. If they would have got destroyed if they would have got all those pick sixes. But on the other hand, they didn't get them, and he won the game, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, but again, we do both agree on this one. Number 7, Tyreek Hill more likely to lead the NFL in receiving yards, or Jamal Williams to have another 15-plus touchdown season. What do you think?
Jamal Williams, 15-plus touchdowns. The thing is, with Dalvin Cook departing from the Vikings, and Adam Thielen leaving the Vikings, Justin Jefferson is just going to be targeted ridiculously amount. So I don't, and also on Miami, you have Jalen Waddle who gets double-digit catches a game. They're one of the deepest running back. They have one of the deepest running back depth charts in the league. So I definitely have to go Jamal Williams, because I think that over there with Derek Carr, I think that, Derek Carr also, I think he will get the ball down the field, and then once they get close, I think they're just going to pound the rock. And I think they're going to put Jamal Williams as their third down goal line back versus over Kamara. So, because, I mean, the touchdowns speak for themselves. He's one of the best goal line backs in the league.
I also think it's going to be Jamal Williams with another 15-plus touchdown season.
I honestly don't think either is going to happen, but I think more likely is Jamal Williams.
I actually do think that Jamal Williams could get around 15.
But Jamal Williams has been in the league for a while, and he's only did it one time.
Yes.
This is the first time it's happened. So.
But the reason why I'm thinking that is because a lot of people don't remember. Kamara might be looking at a suspension. So Jamal Williams may be their starting running back for the majority or some games this season.
That's fine.
And also
that's one a game.
He had about 4 or 5 games last year with 2+ touchdowns. So
that's. But I think the Lions' offense was a little more explosive than the Saints' offense is going to be. But lastly, more likely Nuggets to win a second NBA title, or Vegas to win a second Stanley Cup
in a row. It's going to be tough for either team to accomplish such a feat, but and I'm a Nuggets fan.
I think it's rather a little rather obvious to me, personally. I'm going to have to go with the Nuggets, because the Nuggets are already the favorite next season. The Nuggets were number 1 in the West, and Vegas wasn't even the best team in hockey this year. It was the Bruins, but they weren't the best team in hockey. And in hockey is one of the most unpredictable playoffs in all of the major sports. You never know who's going to win. I mean, look at Boston Bruins. They won the President's Trophy. They were a historical team this year, regular season-wise. They were up 3-1 against the Florida Panthers, and then lost 3 in a row.
And I think their goaltender was one of the guys up for an MVP, I think, this year.
So you never know with hockey. I think, and hockey is one of the most brutal sports. So I think it's easily going to be the Nuggets have a better chance of repeating than the Vegas Golden Knights.
And another thing, though,
And not to mention the Nuggets again have the 2-time MVP. So
true. But you did say...
as long as that goddamn Serbian's there, they got a chance.
You mentioned that the Golden Knights are not the best team in hockey. Well, it may shock people, but the Nuggets were actually the 4th best team in the league this year, record-wise. You had the Sixers in front of them, the Celtics, and Milwaukee. So they also were not the best in their sport neither. Vegas has been to 2 cups already.
I never said Nuggets were the best in NBA.
But the Golden Knights have already been to 2 Stanley Cups in 6 years.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's hard either way. I want to revisit this later and see what happens in the offseason with NBA. But as of right now, I'll say the Nuggets is more likely to win a second consecutive. But like I said, the offseason, we got stuff ahead of us, man. We can revisit this one again later.
All right. Well, that's our show for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Again, if anybody wants to join our fantasy league, let us know. And we'll have more content coming out soon. It was nice seeing you guys.
You like and subscribe.
Yes, sir.